Welcome back, everyone. This time we are joined by Blake Wehunt, the Red Sox 2023 ninth round draft pick. Blake last season pitched 19 games for Double-A Portland. Just before we get going, how's the offseason been for you?
It's been good, being able to come back home and see family and kind of spend time away and hone in on the little things that I know I needed to drill and get better. So it's been good.
Yeah. Uh, I'm assuming just enjoying the time off as well. Just get to relax a little.
No doubt, no doubt. And
Yeah.
I had injury last year, so it's just kind of been, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure that's all good. So,
Mhm. Yeah. And everything's feeling well since the injury, or?
yeah, for sure. Like coming back the first couple of weeks was a little tough because it was kind of, mentally I had to learn how to trust that again,
Mhm.
but other than that, now I'm to the point now to where I just don't feel it anymore. So
Oh, okay. Um, so with that, for the offseason, I know sometimes the Red Sox have plans for players. Did they give any specific plans based around that injury from the season, or was it just a regular offseason for you?
it was pretty much just a regular off season. I headed to Florida for pretty much half of October and half of November for about 4 weeks.
Hmm.
And when I headed to Florida, it was just kind of like maintenance, checking on it, making sure it was fine. And then once I left Florida, it was kind of, hey, now that I know it's healthy, it's time to go to work.
Okay. So to kind of pivot back a couple years, when you were drafted in 2023, what exactly was the experience like? Did you know going into the draft that you may end up with the Red Sox, or was that just a complete surprise that, when they called your name?
To be honest, it was kind of a complete surprise. Like, you go through the season like talking to teams here and there, and then when it comes to draft day, you just have no idea. And for
Mhm.
me, like I hadn't really talked to the Red Sox much, so I went into it with zero expectations, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
And I knew I had a decent year and put myself in a position to where it could happen, but like I said, I wasn't hanging my hat on getting drafted, so it was kind of just we'll go through the day and see what happens. And sure enough, the Red Sox ended up calling, and I'm blessed to be where I'm at.
Yeah. And then, obviously after that, there's discussions for your contract when you first sign. After that happens, is there a time frame where you have time off, or do they send you right to the complex to get right back into baseball shape?
I'm pretty sure, like if I remember correctly, I think it was maybe 8 or 9 days I had between
Okay.
signing and the first day I had to be in Florida. So it's not a long window, but it's definitely like it gives you a little bit more time than you would think. So like 8 to 10 days, but then once you get down there, it's full steam ahead.
Hmm. So, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming when you first get down there, it's more like spring training where you're getting ramped back up.
Correct. It's like kind of like introducing you to how things are going to work, like showing you around the facility. You're doing physicals, you're getting all the
Mhm.
stuff out of the way that don't really involve much of throwing and stuff. And then once you get through that, like the first week is the meetings and the physicals. And once you get through that, then it's kind of like, all right, now we're going to start ramping up into baseball. And some guys went to Salem. We had a couple guys go to Salem at the end of the year for I think 2 weeks maybe, and then everybody else was just kind of ramped up in Florida. And then it was like, hey, we're ramped up to hit the ground running during the off season. It's like now we know what to work on. Now we know how things are going to be done. So
All right. Yeah, and then was it 24 you split? I know you ended 24 with Portland. Did you I can't remember. Was it Salem or Greenville you opened with in 24?
Salem,
Salem,
Salem.
okay. Yeah. So, when you went from Salem and then finished the year in Portland, uh did you notice much of a difference, not really competition-wise, but just the vibe of the level in a sense?
No doubt, no doubt. And I mean, you get to Salem and it's kind of guys that are fresh out of college, just like I was.
Mhm.
So it kind of felt very similar to college. And then you get to Greenville and it heats up a little bit. The guys are better, the atmosphere is a little bit better. And then you get to Portland, it's like most of the guys around you only care, they care about winning, stuff like that. It's a lot more
Mhm.
mature the higher you get.
Okay. And like along with that, I know 2024 you had added a cutter to your pitch arsenal. What exactly is the process when deciding on a new pitch? Is it like depending on the pitch shape when it comes out of your hand, or is it more if it just feels natural for you?
That's a little bit of everything, you know. If it feels natural, it's probably a lot easier to throw, and therefore you don't have to spend much time sitting there designing that pitch. But for me, it was kind of like, hey, we have this velo gap, this problem. You know, the fastball's 93, 95 at the time, and it's like, well, we have this huge gap in the arsenal to where everything's either slow or fast. And so we had to, I feel like we tried to bridge that gap a little bit of finding something that was like a 90 to 92 range, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so they came up with the idea of the cutter, and luckily I was able to, like, not master it, but kind of understand how to throw it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And so that was always nice to be able to add that. And within, I think, a month and a half, we added it.
Uh, with the cutter, is it like did you add it? I know you said for the velocity for 90 to 92, but was it also like for a pitch that you could use to try and like target the inner third of the plate against lefties, or
Yeah, it's
just
definitely it's definitely become more of that. Like, I know the plan was it or the plan with it before was just to have something to show hitters early in counts that wasn't a fastball and that wasn't an off speed. So it's like if they're expecting fastball and they see the cutter, you know, it's a different velo, it's a different spin. So hopefully I get some takes in there and get ahead of guys a lot easier. But as I've grown to use it more and get more comfortable using it, it's definitely become more of a I can throw it in any count, and you know I'm able to locate it pretty well. So it's kind of developed into more of a using it like how it should be used versus hey just get ahead with it. You know.
Mhm. And so just one more question when it comes to like the pitch wise. For the Red Sox, I know there's been talk online that there's been a change in pitching philosophy since Craig Breslow came in and overhauled everything. Do they have like a personal preference on if a pitch is more of a vertical or horizontal break, or is it just whatever works best to help you in an at bat?
I think they do a great job of understanding that most guys are different, and you know, like
Mm-hmm.
my pitch shapes aren't going to be the same as the next guys, and it all depends on what your arm action and how you throw the ball allows you to make the ball move. And so I think they do a really good job of like, hey, if you want to throw two seams, let's work on two seams. You know, if you're a four
Mm-hmm.
seam guy, let's work on four seams.
Okay.
So I think they do a very good job of catering to the guy of like, hey, you're more comfortable throwing this pitch. Well, let's make this pitch great. You know, instead of taking a guy who throws a lot or has a lot of run on the ball and trying to make him throw more of a four seam.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they'll say, "Hey, let's just run it way out there. Let's make it gross," you know.
All right.
So I think they've done a really good job of individualizing.
Yeah. And I got like one last question about baseball, but so what was pitching in Portland for the full year felt like? Like obviously it's a lot different than how you ended 24 there, but was there any time where it was like a major difference in a sense?
Skill wise, it's a big difference because coming up through like low A and high A, Salem and Greenville, you'll have. It seemed like in Salem you'd have a few guys in each lineup you'd have to worry about, and the rest of the guys you could kind of improvise and cruise. And then Greenville obviously is a step up, and then when you get to Portland, it's like you're facing guys that could hurt you 1 through 9. It seems like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you kind of have to learn as a pitcher of how to kind of pitch with your eyes and do the scouting a little bit better, which
Mm-hmm.
thankfully the Red Sox do a great job of preparing you by the pregame meetings, and in between innings what you need to throw to guys. But I think it just takes it a little bit more serious as like, hey, all these guys can hurt us. So I would say there's a pretty big skill gap. But other than that, like it's definitely colder in Portland than anything I'm
Oh
used
yeah.
to. That was probably the biggest shock was, my first start was in the 20s and the wind howling. And
Oh
for me, I've never experienced anything like that. Like the coldest I've ever pitched in maybe 35. And
Okay.
then going there, it was a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I was gonna say right now in Massachusetts it's like mid 20s right now, but we're supposed to get a heat wave. It's supposed to be the low 40s, I think, for like the next 2 or 3 days.
See, that is crazy. It got, I think yesterday was the coldest it's been since I've been home, and it was like 28, and it was like everybody shuts down when it gets that cold here
Hmm.
because no one's used to it.
Yeah, and I've read online and I've heard elsewhere about the whole chicken farm. So I'm guessing right now with it being 28, that's closed down for the time being.
Yeah, we're actually in between flocks. So we've been doing some stuff down there to get ready for the next flock, but thankfully we don't have chickens right now because it would be brutal.
Hmm. Yeah. So with that, just outside of baseball, besides the chicken farming, is there anything else that you enjoy doing?
Oh yeah, I'm a big time outdoorsman, so anything like hunting, fishing, anything like that, I'm all for it.
Hmm.
So most of the off season, that's what I spend my time doing is chasing deer and ducks and everything else.
Hmm. Is there like one that you prefer over the other when it comes to like deer or duck?
I mean, I definitely deer hunt more than I duck hunt, but
Hmm.
they're both equally as fun,
Yeah.
and I mean, they both taste good, so.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. My brother, he goes hunting sometimes with his friends, but they just do pheasant just because they don't have the time to put in for like the whole deer hunting where you got to go track, put the trail
Oh yeah.
cameras up.
Oh yeah. See, that's
Yeah.
the part that I think that has me hooked is the whole
Mhm.
chase, is like putting up trail cameras and planting food plots and trying to trick the deer to come close
Mhm.
to me. I think that's the part that has me hooked.
Yeah, they win. I want to say 2 or 3 times, but just because of work, it's too much for them for the time being.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I
Yeah,
wish we had pheasants here, but unfortunately we don't.
yeah. And just 2 questions left. One is with the holidays right around the corner. Is there anything special you and your family do?
Uh, Nothing crazy. I mean, we do the basic Christmas dinner and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But as far as any kind of wild traditions, we don't really have many. Me and my brother have always, went deer hunting together Christmas morning and stuff like that. But other than that, there's nothing super crazy.
All right. And I'm guessing after New Year's comes and goes, that's when you really start getting ready for spring training, with it being about what 6, 7 weeks from reporting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So soon as New Year's is over, then it's like, hey, let's put the rifle and the bow down and let's really hone in, you know.
All right. All right. And just for the last question, and I hope it's not like putting you on the spot, but when you were growing up and playing baseball, did you have a favorite player from like the MLB that you would follow and like root for?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I had two. So growing up in Georgia, I loved Chipper Jones.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, every kid probably says that's from Georgia, but like, switch hitting third baseman.
Hmm.
He was a big outdoorsman, like he loved to hunt, and so to me that was like the coolest player ever growing up.
Hmm.
And then when I got a little older and I started honing in on pitching and kind of hung the bat up, that's when I started to really appreciate like Max Scherzer.
Hmm.
Like growing up, he was my favorite pitcher to watch, even though he was with the Nationals growing up, which
Yeah,
the
that.
Braves are pants. But I know I loved his attitude when he pitched. It seemed like he always knew he was the best, even if he wasn't the best, he thought he was.
Yeah,
And so I just loved watching him pitch growing up.
yeah, definitely with Max. He had that on display this playoffs. Didn't seem like
Yeah.
he would even be on the playoff roster, and then he ended up pitching quite a few important games for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, and at his age, I think that's sick. That's just an
Hmm.
attest, like that just tells you his mentality, in my opinion.
Hmm. And like, I mean, with aces, that's what you need. You go out there and you say, "I'm the best. No one's gonna beat me."
No doubt. And this is when the team needs me, so put me out there.
Hmm. All right, and yeah, thank you again for sitting down and doing this interview. Enjoy the rest of your off season, and good luck in 2026.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Let me know if you want to do another one.